Ready?
Mm-hmm.
We flipped places this time versus the tummy tuck video we did.
Uh-huh.
We're opposite.
Should we go on the opposite sides?
That's alright, because you sit on that side and I sit on that side. It's
Okay.
more organic.
Oh, okay.
Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. So as promised, this is the gift guide for men. And as the sole source of testosterone in this house, I have employed Jeremy to come and shed some light. Mainly to give an actually helpful gift guide that isn't just like beard oil and like plaid, because neither one of those things he would like, and I'm sure a lot of y'all are in the same boat. So yeah.
Yeah, I never have a beard. Well, I mean, I don't know how much I'm just gonna tell you, hey, go buy X, Y, and Z. I think it's more important to kind of think about strategy of how to look at like gift giving. From the perspective of like giving a really good gift for a guy. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like I look at gifts for me, and there are some gifts that I've been given that I used for a really long period of time, or basically used it until it fell apart.
Yeah, till the wheels fall off.
Yeah. So I think the important thing for you to do is have an understanding of what they're into. And so like for example, that might be hard.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine to say that's hard, because there's some things that I'm into that it'd be hard for you to buy a gift for. Mm-hmm. But there's a couple different strategies of doing that. So for example, a really good gift Sarah gave me this year was something she worked with my best friend to come up with. So I like to build things, and I make things all the time. And so, having a way to store hardware and be able to quickly find it and do all of that is something that is a real need for me, to the point that I had been talking to my best friend about building something and designing something to handle that. And so what Sarah did is Sarah and my friend worked together and bought all of the pieces to make this freestanding thing with individual trays that come out, and they're like little handled things from DeWalt, and they each have individual components inside. So I can have all of the hardware that I used managed, and it's in one place. And it's mobile. And then on top of that, I can just grab one of the cases, pull it out, mm-hmm. or I can grab the case, pull out the screws that I'm going to use for the project, take them over, and then if I spill something, it's literally just this bin. Yeah. So to me, that is like monstrous in saving me time. And frustration, and it's something that I use literally every time I work on a project. So it's become kind of part of my core, like workflow in the garage. But, and like thinking of other times. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, so to kind of broaden that out though, like basically I think the key thing to take away from that is like employ somebody who knows more about whatever his hobby is, or whatever you're trying to like gift in the vein of.
There's no problem in asking for help.
Yeah.
It's not, if you're trying to understand someone, there's no problem in reaching out to their buddy, or reaching out to, I've bought gifts for Sarah, mm-hmm. and I've ran the gifts by Nikki. Yeah. So, yeah. It's like, do you think she would like this? Mm-hmm. And yeah. So there's nothing wrong with an approach like that. And you also look at like some of the things that I use a lot, like Sean, mm-hmm. My friend Sean, he got me this impact driver. That's a smaller one for like when you're working on cars and other things.
Yeah.
And
he needed my help.
And that was a great example, because when you buy power tools, you tend to stick to a particular manufacturer. because the batteries are all interchangeable. And so when you buy the tools, you a lot of times will get a battery. So I have a lot of DeWalt tools. So I have tons of DeWalt batteries. And different manufacturers make this tool. So Sean knows this. So he reached out to Sarah, figured out which one I use. And
which one he didn't have.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then got that, and it's something that now when I work on a car, like it's something that I use every time I work on a car. It's a little smaller impact wrench, so it's lightweight and you can get into closer spaces, and it works great. I'd say like another one where we did really well was, when you get into like people who have specialty hobbies. So like you take, I'm into radio control cars and stuff like that. Buying stuff for that is very, very difficult because a lot of times people have specific brands, specific whatevers, like they're, especially like when you start thinking about things like fishing as well. Like going and buying a fishing rod for somebody, it's really hard because there's different types of fishing. There's different lengths of rods. There's different ways to cast. So like it's this thing where you literally could spend a day figuring that stuff out. But like a good strategy is like what we did for your stepfather.
Yeah, he brings up the fishing thing because it's anecdotally apt for us. Where my stepdad. So basically the three major men in my life, so like my dad, Jeremy, and then my stepdad, they're completely different from each other. And so my stepdad is very like, he's in glass, and so he's outside all the time, and he fishes as a hobby, like has for years, to the degree that he has like a designated truck for it and all of that. So,
So buying something fishing related for that guy,
just don't do it.
There's no point because he's gonna be just like me.
Yeah.
So if there's something I want,
you're gonna get it
I
yourself.
go buy it.
Yeah.
And so he's got that covered. But what we were able to do, we came up with a really good gift for him for Christmas that kind of goes along those themes. So here in Austin, Yeti coolers, they're a staple brand. Their headquarters here, and they have a Yeti flagship store. So what we did is we went to the Yeti flagship store, and we went and we found the one of the bag style coolers, and we got the fishing related patches, and we got the dry box, and we got all the accessories that would make sense.
The like bottle opener thing on it.
Yeah,
the whole bit.
For like, so hey, I'm gonna go. And he does fishing where he sits on the bank. So I'm gonna go take my chair, set up my rod. I'm chilling. I have a beer.
It's cold.
And it's cold.
Yeah.
So that ended up being a really good gift.
Huge
yeah,
hit.
he really liked the gift, but it augmented his hobby.
Yeah. So even if you can't like nail it in the vein of whatever it is, you can support it in a way that maybe they wouldn't have thought of or they don't have yet, that feels kind of in a way you can put your little touch on it, but at the same time, they'd actually legitimately appreciate it and not just give you lip service. So like my dad, I think my dad's another example, just because I think the key thing that a lot of us as women, when we're looking for gifts for men, they basically only think there's two types of men. There's like the metrosexual, like, you know, he's stealing your shit, or there's like the like he's cutting logs. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know a guy like that.
Yeah.
So maybe my stepdad, but he doesn't actually do that.
I've used a chainsaw a couple times, and I own one, and I broke it.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah.
So I think, you know, I think something to drive home is like, even if, like for Jeremy is single-handedly the hardest person for me to buy for, simply because everything he wants he can get. Or he's so far in, he's like me, we're so far into what we're into that you need to get this right. Otherwise it's wrong. And it's not us being mean, it's just like, that's not what I want. you know, and every single one of us can say we've had that experience.
Yeah, but that also takes like a little bit of grace there.
Sure,
so it's like
100%. You tried.
Like
for effort.
Like I mentioned, I'm into radio controlled cars. A lot of the stuff that I'll buy is starts on the order of several $100s. They're very specialized. I tend to only buy from a couple manufacturers because those are I feel like voting with my dollars. Mm-hmm. Those are companies that have always taken care of me. So it's like, hey, you have products I like, I'm going to continue buying from you.
Yeah. So.
But if I got something that didn't fall in that scope, that's very narrow, I'd really look at it in a couple things. It's like, one, can I use this? And if I could, then it's fine, done. But if not, don't be upset if somebody swaps out what you get them for something else. I've bought things for Sarah and it hasn't been the right thing, or it hasn't been the perfect thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, hell, I thought I knocked it out of the park with those Valentinos that were leopard print.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, come on, you guys know her. You see how she dresses. That should have been an easy win.
Okay, so real quick stories.
But I'm not mad. I'm not mad. It's all good.
Yeah. What he's saying is it's okay to return it or exchange it.
And she got a pair of shoes that she really likes. Mm-hmm. And so like, I'm not upset. But that's one of those things where, I'm giving you an example where like, hey, I thought about this. And, like, hey, I really thought that this would... She wears
leopard print. She loves Valentino rock studs. Here's two of the three. The third one being all the leather was brown, and I don't own any brown leather.
Yeah.
So that's why. That's why he says that. And that's why, I'm like, and literally the first thing out of my mouth was, I have to get a brown leather bag. I have to get a brown bag. Like, I don't own any brown. And he was like... Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's all good. So, I mean, the thing that I really want to stress here is this is a strategy thing.
Yeah, with men specifically, because men are different. So it's 100%.
Like if you look like the hot electronics now are things like the new Xbox and the new PlayStation. If you got something like that for me, I turn on my PlayStation so infrequently that it forces me to update it every time before I can play a game. Mm-hmm. So it's like that's kind of a waste towards somebody like me. But if you have somebody that that's their thing, those are great gifts for them. So like, small gifts for men is all men, they may bitch about it, but if they're over 18 years old, socks are always good. Seriously. Because like my socks just get ratty, and after a while I tend to just throw them all out and just buy all brand new ones. Mm-hmm. But on the same note, I'm not a guy that wears, I don't wear dress socks. Yeah. Even, whatever, fashion faux pas, I don't care. Even under like my jeans or whatever, when I'm wearing nicer clothes, I still tend to wear like athletic socks because they're more comfortable. So things like that tend to be pretty decent gifts. Those are your good little stocking stuffers. Yeah. What else did you think?
I go into more tangible options because I just so people feel like, okay, cool, thanks for the strategy advice. Like, what can I actually go? So what are some other safe?
I mean, I think the key is having an understanding for the person that you're with.
Yeah.
I mean, like, probably one of the worst gifts I've ever been given was a watch. And because...
He never wears a watch.
I don't wear watches. I don't like watches.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm not trying to be an ass. I know people out there love watches.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's usually a thing, though. If you're into watches, you're like into watches. You either have a watch or you're like into watches.
Yeah, I mean, I like if you gave me a Rolex, I would probably try to buy a car with said Rolex.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I would, you know, I'm.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against people that like those things. It's that's fine, but that's just not a me thing.
I think another option though, in something that you can just be like, okay, just need to get like stocking stuffers or something that I just know he will use.
Stocking stuffers for me, like I love the Jack Black brand.
Yeah,
like that stuff. That.
Yeah. Hygiene, anything hygiene related, or if you can elevate the hygiene in a way that, like, Jack Black's a great line because they have travel size stuff too.
Yeah, I travel a lot,
so
I tear
always
through
get
that.
him the travel size. I get him the regular stuff, but I always make sure he's got travel size stuff in his stocking because he will use that.
We really like the Jack Black Reserve.
Yeah, the new one, the black one. That one's so nice. That smells really good.
Stuff like that works really well for me.
Razors, any like things that they'll actually use, I think are also like just safe. If you just need like volume or something, you know, if you just need to fill it out a little bit, you could do that. Alcohol.
Yeah. I mean, there is a cliche. A lot of guys like beer. I mean, I guess you could definitely head down that route. You know, alcohol always works pretty well. You know, it's like. I think it really boils down to who you're buying for. So like, you know, I look at like your father. Your father, he's somebody where he knows what he likes. He has fairly simple taste. He stayed with us for a while, and I would say my biggest complaint about having him here is like, Dad, it's your choice. It's your turn to pick dinner. Make a choice.
Yeah, he's like
a great, agreeable person, but he's also hard to get anything out of him. Like, what do you really need?
Well, he doesn't want to be a burden. So he views it as like, well, I'm asking of you. That's how he thinks of it. So you gotta really. It takes time. But for example, my father, my dad's got a very simple taste, and he's worn the same stuff. He's had the same sweatshirts for like 40 years. So an option for somebody like that who is like very, my dad's birthday's today. He's 71 years old, and so something I've done with a lot of success in the last several years is I'll take something that he desperately needs, like he's way overdue for, whether it's a robe or basics like shirts or pants or sweaters or whatever, and I'll get him nicer versions of whatever he would wear. So like take the style that he wears and then elevate it. So I got him, like he had this, like, I remember doing his laundry years ago, and he had this threadbare robe that was like, I'm like, Dad, this is freezing. And so I think last year, the year before, we had this really nice plush, like really nice robe from Nordstrom that's just gorgeous. And he still talks like, oh, it's so cozy and warm, but he'll use it. Or my dad's got like really severe foot issues, so he has to wear specific shoes. So I managed to find him slippers that would work. And that like made his life. He was because he couldn't find slippers forever.
Yeah, so guys, a lot of men tend to be, especially as we get older, we tend to be more utilitarian. So like, it's not so much that it's more of a comfort thing, not that so much that like the clothes are comfortable, but the fact that it's there. I know this will work. I don't have to go to the store, and I don't have to deal with this stuff. I just know that if I buy this particular model of shoe and this size, it'll fit, and I'm done.
Yeah, I can get this errand over with quicker.
Yeah, so that's the way a lot of guys think. I mean, hell, the reason my jacket, I have the sport jacket I do, is literally because when I walked in Nordstrom, it was the one that didn't need alteration. So that means I spent $300 more than I needed to. But
yeah.
So like kind of reiterating, know who you're buying for. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't get upset if they change something. If they and bottom line, ladies, if you go through all this effort and somebody acts like a dick about it, feel free to tell them, Jeremy said go fuck themselves. Because look, man, at the end of the day, if you're putting a lot of effort into this, it's like, the thought that counts really means something. So to me, if somebody goes through the effort to try to find the right thing for me, it's like, it's the thought that counts. Like swapping something out isn't that big of a deal, but acting about like a dick about it that's a problem.
Yeah.
So,
so utilitarian, elevate the everyday, consult, ask for help, consult his squad or whatever.
Yeah, consult his squad. That's an easy one. You should have probably taken notes before doing this.
Oh, I've asked you about this for
flashcards.
weeks.
Well, yeah, but I told you strategy would be more of the conversation. The problem is like every guy is different, and
well, every woman is different too.
Yeah.
But there's like safe, like the cliche with women is like, oh, just get her like beauty products. But or here's a great one. Oh, get her, what's the shit that we see advertised? The little bit with like, when they buy like lingerie for their significant others. And like half the time we see it and he's like, if I bought that for you. I'm like, yeah, because I don't want ugly shit. So like, there is nuance to every human.
Yeah, but like the same rules that I'm telling, our friends here to use are rules that I use on you.
Yeah.
So I got to understand what type of things you like because we share a closet. I can go over and I can look. I'm like, oh, these are these type of shoes. Oh wow, in this brand it's this number. I could put that into the website and get it, and that works out.
5 in a row of this. She must like them.
Yeah. So it always boils down to what a good gift to receive. It feels good is when it feels like somebody has picked something that makes your life better and makes your life easier. And those types of gifts are the ones that have worked out well for me. And those are the ones that like I'll continue to use every day. For me, like little stocking stuffers that always work well. I always tend to put together a wish list for Sarah with like
both my parents, and so my parents both ask about him, and then the girls. So there's volume that I need, and to hit all those numbers and be that creative and have to buy for all these other people, it's just a lot of energy to expend.
So I tend to also put together.
I'm not an asshole.
I tend to put together a wish list that I share with, and the stuff that I put on there are a lot of the consumable stuff that I do. So like you guys know me by now, I'm a nerd that builds shit. So stuff like filament for the 3D printers. That's like 30 bucks a roll. Tips for soldering irons are $10 each. The little boards that I'll use for some of the different projects. Those end up being pretty inexpensive, and so I'll put together a whole bunch of things like that in a list and try to give that to Sarah early, and then that gets disseminated throughout people. If I get things on it, I get things on it. If I don't, and I need something, I just go ahead and buy it. And then if 2 of them show up,
great.
They're consumables. I use them.
That's a great point. Consumables. So I said this in another video, I can't remember which one, but consumables are great, especially if you are volume shopping, if you're trying to tackle a long list of people, or if you don't know enough, go that route because people need more shit. We use up that stuff. We need more. And it's so nice to just have a backup. So then it's just, I don't have to either run that errand or do that thing or whatever it is for a little while longer. And that's a really nice, sometimes that gift of just, thanks, I don't have to do that anytime soon, it's really nice too.
Yeah. I mean, like, I remember talking to the lady at that salon when I bought like all 19
different hair
products.
I still don't know why you had to go. I still don't understand how nobody at Nordstrom or Sephora said, oh, hey, we have that. It is like,
I don't know.
I've worked in sales and beauty for like 17 years. We can do this, women. Like it blew my mind.
I mean, look, she gave me a list of different things that would work. I didn't realize she gave the same list to her mom. So I just walked into Nordstrom and was like, "Do you have this?" She's like, "Which one?" I'm like, "The list."
A lady was like, "S commission."
Yeah. And so she went and did her thing, went all around, all together, and put together, and then went through and checked off. And she's like, "I don't have this, and this. Try this place."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Thank you, lady.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What's your card?" That type thing works great. Yeah. I mean, honestly, you should probably tell. I'd say that's another thing for guys that they probably don't know is, like, if you are doing anything beauty related, most of the I've noticed that most women will go incredibly out of their way to help you. Like, if you show up at a Sephora and be like, I mean, before you, the babysitter was I think she was painting nails using her nail polish. The kids knocked it over and destroyed the bottle. So I'm like, all right, I want to buy a replacement. So I just go in. I have no clue what I'm looking for. Talk to somebody. They help me. I'm in and out. Now, if the last time I did this, I showed up at Sephora and somebody actually knew you and
yeah, it used to be a rep.
Called me by name.
Yeah, she knew. She's like, "Hi, Jeremy."
I'm like, "Oh shit."
And then I got a text before we even got home being like, "I saw Jeremy."
And so, and then, I've noticed, like,
that was awesome.
Very helpful. I got everything I needed. And yeah, so I mean, I think the key is, like, that I've really learned, especially as I've gotten older, is there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Yeah, it's not that you don't know that person well enough. It's that you actually know that person well enough to go, I don't know enough about this, and I can't say to him after August, "Hey, can you tell me about insert any number of his hobbies?" And he's not going to pick up on that because we are so opposite that he knows my brain doesn't work like that. I kind of glaze over. I'm just like, I don't understand all that. I don't get it. So it would be weird if I suddenly wanted like an associate's degree in anything he's interested in.
The other trick with some of that stuff. So let's say, for example, like another trick that you can do with some of this stuff, especially like if you were going to buy something in like the RC car realm. The trick that you could employ is all the stuff is sitting in there. And the one thing about all the stuff is every single one of them has a logo and what manufacturer and what's in there. So you can at least get yourself into, here are the brands.
Right.
And then, especially with me, the brands are very specialized. So this one brand makes the radio, this one brand makes this, and then you can see the model numbers on them, and you can kind of go from there. And if you get information like that, and you go to a hobby store, for example, like if you showed up at the hobby store with pictures of my radio and said, I wanted to get stuff that goes with this, those people would bend over backwards to help you. Because
that's good advice.
So
whatever version of that you're in, that's good advice. So if you have no clue, you at least have brands and you can go and be like, okay, y'all work here, y'all have some degree of, like, help me. That's very good advice.
Yeah, so you go through and you take pictures of the different components, pictures of the pieces. If you can get model numbers or things like that, and then you take that with you to a store. Most people, especially if it's a specialty thing, they'll be super helpful. Like, I guarantee you, we could take pictures of your stepfather's fishing gear. And then kind of build on coming out with a, like a direction, what would be like a great, rod to buy or whatever.
Like, send us photos, and I think that's actually the harder part.
Yeah, yeah. And then, it's finding things that finding stuff that they're into. So like your dad was he was kind of easy after seeing how he liked the electronic setup here. So we set up some of that stuff from there.
That's a good point too. So if you have older like parents or something like that, older folks that maybe, or just people that in general aren't the most technologically savvy, things that are easy for them, like what he's talking about is my dad got a television. We sent him a TV, largest TV he's ever had in his life by far. I mean by far. To the point where like we had to get him a new stand. He got his own sound bar and an Amazon Fire Stick. And he got a Fire Stick in part because while he was here, we have a Fire Stick on all of our TVs. And so he had one up in his room. And it was just so easy for him. And the remote isn't complicated. So it's easy for somebody like him. It's one remote that has like 10 dexterity buttons. Problems. Like my dad had a stroke. So if they've got dexterity problems, like in their finger, you know what I mean? Like he was working on his motor skills a lot. So he was doing like metronome and that kind of stuff. Being able to move your thumb, you know, like literally think like that, like being able to, is that hard for them? Because it's easy for him, but it's also something that's not complicated. So it's not necessarily like a metronome activity, but at the same time, it's something he can do. So that actually worked out great. And it's something that just some exposure to it really helped. And then his sister has one too. So it kind of doubled down on, yeah, okay, I really want that. So that could be an option, just optimizing something they already have. Yeah, make things simpler. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we got the TVs there. He's got a new property, so like the cable has to be hooked up and that. So we took over and like I ordered the Wi-Fi for him and sent him a modem, and I've sent him the stuff that he needs to get going. And I've just kind of taken those decisions because, you know, IT stuff is what I do. So that makes, you know, I'm de facto family tech support, so might as well pick what's going to be easy for me to support. So I just did that and sent it to him. And, you know, so now we'll, as all these things come online, we'll get him set up with all of those, send him a bottle of bourbon, and the man will be having He's having a great day. He's already like the pick of the family for Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah. So hopefully that gives you some options to kind of, I think the big takeaway is more along the lines of getting your wheels turning and taking some pressure off of like getting it exactly right. Cause I know how stressful it can be. I also know how much it sucks when you work what feels like really hard on a gift and the recipient just kind of like, you see that face fall or you see the fake enthusiasm. That sucks. So, you know, just to help you kind of avoid that, I think is a big one. If you're anything like me, I'm way more, like Christmas for me is way more about giving and I like the magic of it and all that kind of stuff. It's really, I never ever really think about what I want. It's more about like, oh, people are going to ask, so I should have a list. But I never think about like, God, I really hope I get this. You know what I mean? So, but I also understand that as somebody who spends a lot of time building and pulling off a holiday, like you want to land that gift well. I totally understand that. And it does really suck when you feel like you've spent so much effort and it's just kind of like, cool, thanks, you know? So I think another character I kind of pull in on this is my brother. Is just like another type of man. My brother is, he's a film director. He's a film writer and director. So like he is a whole different type of person. So he's like a whole fourth option. Yeah,
and he's also interesting because he lives in New York. So, you know, if you have family that lives in New York, they tend to be space constrained. So, you know, all of the things that you have to think about need to be more, you know, is space efficient. So, like, you know, given his love, you know, like the thing that I would think of that comes to mind for him, he introduced us to that YouTube show.
Oh, yeah, that was such a great gift that he gave us. We mainlined the shit out of that.
Yeah, so if you haven't watched Hot Ones, that's a great one
Oh
to
my
watch.
God, guess what you're doing all weekend?
But you know, the other thing is like he loves like chicken wings and hot sauce and that stuff. So like there's like a whole Hot Ones thing of hot sauces, but like finding him hot sauces and like the stuff we got from Buc-ee's, he really liked that.
So in Texas, we've got this gas station called Buc-ee's. It's like there's only like a handful of them in all of Texas, but they're literal destinations.
There's probably a YouTube video on them.
Oh,
they're loved by Texas.
It is a thing. Okay, so what he's talking about is Hot Ones is this show on the channel First We Feast, and it is awesome. You should watch it. Even if you don't like hot stuff, just watch it. It's so fun. But they work with a hot sauce shop called The Heatonist, and it's in Brooklyn. And they literally, every season, they curate the 10 sauces, and there are like the standards that are in every single season no matter what, and then they reintroduce or they'll reformulate or they'll do whatever new ones, and then they've made one specifically for the show. So if somebody is into that, or they maybe have had a couple, you can, and they actually sell them, so like that is a great gift. There's also like takes on that, so you could do like Mike's Hot Honey. You could do, I know Momofuku has a suite of like sauces and what's that, condiments basically. Like I really love Momofuku, so I'm into that. And then you can also go down like the book route of that. So if they're into that, maybe they'd like the book of it. So those are all options. The other thing you could do if somebody is like that, especially if they're space conscious, gift cards. I know that sounds like not kind of like, oh, I was trying to avoid that, but like if they're in a city full of dedicated spaces, it would be nice to get it in to go to that. You know?
The one thing I will throw out that if you're going to head down the gift card route, unless you know for sure that's the direction they want to go, give them a Visa gift card.
Yeah, pay that $6 fee or whatever it is.
Or whatever. Don't just assume that they'd want to spend the money at this place. Unless that's like one of the places they spend a lot of money.
Or it's someplace they would like to go. Like you've explicitly heard. Like I always think about, something I thought about was like, oh, Ivan Ramen. Like Adam would like that.
Yeah.
That's his speed. And it's amazing.
Or like buy him a dinner there or something like that.
Like
or
something in that, like give him the experience. And sometimes that manifests in the form of a gift card. But that's an option, right? Because it takes the pressure off of like, I scheduled you a dinner during a pandemic.
Yeah, but like, like at the end of the day, I mean, I was going to say it's a bad example, but I was going to use like buy him a BW3 gift certificate. He actually likes BW3s, but like buying like some random wing place might not be the right place for him. Where, at the end of the day, cash is a great gift for anyone. So if you're going to head down that path, make it easier.
Yeah, and it's fee free. I think those are 4 not bearded lumberjack options.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if there's any questions, we can always do a follow-up.
Yeah, and the comments are open on all my videos, so feel free to comment and we will get back to you. I'm usually really good about that because I've got an app that helps me, that tells me when people tell me stuff. But yeah, and I think, I don't know, I think specifically for this year, and because it's just, this year's been so brutal for everybody in any number of ways, I think the big takeaway is just the fact that you get to do it is really important. Like I think I'm literally staring at our tree and all the gifts underneath it, and I stare at this thing every day because I literally work right here, and it makes me so happy to look at this thing in October because I'm way early and know that we're able to do this, and like everybody, like there's so much stuff going on in the world, and it's just like, it's just nice to know that you can do it. So I think if anything, give you some strategy advice, give you some tangible advice, but also just give you some reassurance that like, the fact that you can do it, take that as a win, because right now it really is a win. Adelaide is like way. She just turned her head into the corner like, shut up. I love her. Little bitchy ass dog. I love her. Alright, so hopefully this video was helpful. Let us know if you have any questions. And thanks for watching, y'all. See you very soon.
See you.
Bye.